Hey there, if you've ever tried to pick up a new language, you already know the drill. It's tough, right? But today, we're exploring the beautiful, musical, and honestly sometimes perilous tightrope walk of Portuguese pronunciation. We're calling this explainer the high-stakes language trap. Why? Because a single syllable, literally just a tiny shift in how you move your mouth, can change absolutely everything about what you're trying to say. So we're going to break down exactly how this works, so you can start speaking with total confidence.
Section 1. The Portuguese pronunciation trap. To really understand this trap, we got to look at what I like to call phonetic twins. These are words that look or sound so closely alike to an untrained ear, they might as well be the exact same word. But make no mistake, they have wildly different meanings. And if you aren't paying close attention to the specific stress of a syllable or the openness of a vowel, well, you aren't just saying a word slightly wrong, you're actually saying an entirely different word.
Section 2. Delicious or disastrous? Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting with a category everyone loves, but where pronunciation is absolutely key to actually getting what you want. Food.
Take the word massa. It's pronounced ma-sa, with a nice heavy stress right on that first syllable. It means dough, pasta, or a mass of something. A wonderful thing to order if you're craving Italian food, right? But add a tiny tilde over the A, ma-san, and the pronunciation completely flips to ma-san. Now you're asking for an apple. Just imagine being at a restaurant, you're starving for a huge bowl of pasta, and the waiter brings you a single piece of fruit, all just because you shifted your vocal stress. Crazy, right?
Listen closely to that ending again. Massa. Notice that? It's not just about moving the stress to the end of the word, it's about entirely changing the physical way you produce the sound.
To really master massa, we have to understand the nasal sound. That is produced by actually allowing air to escape through your nose as you speak. It's a super subtle mechanical shift in your throat and nasal passage, but it's absolutely crucial for distinguishing words in Portuguese. Without that nasal escape of air, you're just saying dough. With it, boom, you get an apple.
So, let's see how this builds into what might be the most dangerous and, honestly, the most hilarious pronunciation trap of the day. Seriously, what is the difference between a tropical fruit and a bathroom emergency?
Now, what's really interesting about this is that the stakes of shifting the stress to the last syllable are incredibly high here. So, cocoa, pronounced C-O-K-O, cocoa, with the stress securely on the first syllable, means coconut, a lovely, refreshing drink. But add a circumflex hat over the second O, cocoa, and stress that last syllable, cocoa, the meaning completely changes to, well, poop. If you're chilling on a beautiful beach in Rio and you want a refreshing coconut water, you had better make absolutely sure you're asking for cocoa and definitely not cocoa.
Section 3. Crucial everyday distinctions. These phonetic traps, they aren't just limited to restaurant menus. They happen constantly in the everyday building blocks of conversation. Take esta, pronounced E-S-T-A. It simply means this in the feminine form. But add an accent mark and shift the emphasis to the second syllable, está, pronounced E-S-T-H-A. Suddenly you aren't saying this anymore. You're actually using a verb. You're saying is, or the formal version of you are. It's wild how a simple grammatical word completely transforms its function in the sentence just by emphasizing the second syllable.
And here is another incredibly common trap. País, pronounced país, means parents. But país, pronounced país, means country. Notice the stress shifting to the second syllable again? Imagine the sheer awkwardness of traveling abroad, meeting a lovely local family, and trying to compliment their beautiful country, but accidentally complimenting their parents instead. Or, vice versa.
País. Locking in that stress on the second syllable is literally the magic key that turns a family unit into an entire nation. It's entirely about where you put the power in your voice.
Section 4. The grandparent dilemma. When dealing with tricky family tree vocabulary, vowel openness dictates exactly who you are talking about.
This is where a lot of learners get totally turned around. Avó, for grandmother, is pronounced avó, specifically using a closed O sound, kind of like O. Now, avó, for grandfather, is pronounced avó, utilizing an open O sound, sounding much more like aw. The spelling is nearly identical save for the accent marks, but the openness of that final vowel is the sole indicator of whether you're addressing your grandmother or your grandfather.
Section 5. Sound like a native. So how do we take all this, turn this knowledge into actual fluency?
Move past that fear of making a mistake and start actually sounding like a local.
So the crucial point is, it really boils down to 3 main rules. First, respect the stress placement. As we saw with coco and coco, or esta and está, moving the stress changes the meaning entirely. Second, actively master the physical mechanics of nasal sounds and vowel openness. You can't just read the words, you have to physically feel the air escaping your nose for that and carefully shape your mouth for those closed and open o sounds. And finally, by practicing and mastering these pairs, you're going to avoid common misunderstandings, ensuring you get a nice apple and not just raw dough.
So, will your next syllable make you a native speaker, or a confused tourist getting something much worse than a coconut? The difference is quite literally in the details of your delivery. If you want to conquer these high-stakes language traps and speak with absolute confidence, you got to take the next step. Learn Portuguese with us and book your free trial class right now. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep practicing those nasal vowels, and I'll catch you next time.